Hi, this is Mark from Wiki Design. In this video, I'm going to show you a really cool WordPress plugin I've been learning these past few weeks. It's called Motion.page. It's a WordPress plugin that gives you the freedom to add custom animations and interactions without touching any code. And the best part is it's all done with their own visual builder. If you're familiar with After Effects, it's kind of like that, but for websites. And I've heard from other people that this tool is pretty similar to what Webflow offers on the back end. Either way, it's a really powerful tool that's going to take your designs to that next level. This video is going to be more of an overview instead of a tutorial, but I'm going to show you some really cool stuff I was able to pull off with this tool. So let me first just go through their website and some other examples and just show you the tool. So as you can see, when you go to their webpage right here, they have some of the effects going on when you scroll down the page. And if you look right down here, these are the different types of animations that you can do. So you can do it where it's on an entrance. So when someone enters onto a page, do something. You can have it when, I'm going to show a really cool example of this. So when a user clicks on something, have it animate and exit when that user clicks on something. Or on click, you could do different types of interactions. They have this really cool feature where you can scroll scenes where you can kind of scroll down and have it scroll like horizontal and vertical. It's really cool. Different hover effects. And what also is really good about this tool is you're not tied to one page builder. And as you can see down here, this works with the different page builders. So we got Oxygen, Elementor, Beaver Builder, Zion, Bricks, and Gutenberg. So most of my tutorials, I'm just going to be covering the Elementor page builder because that's the one I currently use. But there's really no limitations on what you can do because the way it works with this tool is you design your web page like you normally would, and then all you're doing is you're just targeting different CSS classes and IDs. So that's what's cool about this tool. You're not limited to a certain page builder. And like I said, they have their own interface on how to do this stuff. And the best part about it is, if you look down here, this is all being used on a timeline basis. So that's where a lot of limitations come, in my opinions, with these tools is you have to know how to hand code and think about time, whereas I like to visually do everything. So it's kind of like an After Effects. There's definitely a little bit of a learning curve with this tool. So that's why I'm going to quickly show you, where things are, and then it will really open up your eyes to what this tool can do. And what I really like about this tool is it doesn't add any extra bloat to your website, really. What it's doing is it's using gsap, which is very lightweight JavaScript. You can see right here, JavaScript-based animations. So this is just going to add the code whenever you want it. So it's not like you install this and then all of your pages now get bloated, extra code. It's not like that. What it does is it just ties in the CSS animations when you need them. And then here's some other different things, of course, you can do. Opacity, you can move it, rotate, scale, skew. If you used other tools like an Elementor, they kind of already have this stuff built in. But you can see right here, this is where it gets a little bit different. You can start to animate backgrounds, borders, CSS filters. And then this one right here, I would say is the most powerful one, and that's custom properties. So basically what custom property is anything that can be tied to CSS, can be animated, triggered, whatever it may be. So I think this is probably the most powerful thing is the custom properties. And if you scroll down to their pricing, they have two really good options. They have lifetime and yearly. And as you can see, it's really affordable. They start you out at 5 sites, 10, and then unlimited. And then if you scroll down, they have some FAQs down here. And if you look, they again assure you that performance does not take a hit because so many of these different tools out here, you're going to take a hit with performance. But this right here is what really kind of sold me. It doesn't add any more code than manually coded animations. So that's where this really got me is when I'm doing CSS code animations, I'm manually adding this code. Basically what this tool is doing is it's making it a lot easier for me to visually see it rather than have to hand code this stuff, because I think that's the reason why I never really got really into gsap was because I had to hand code everything and it wasn't visual. So that's what this tool does is it found a pain point and it's going to make it a lot easier for you to animate these things. So it's going to save you a lot of time. So here's an example of what I'm going to be showing you in this little overview is how I did 3 different things. And the first thing is when you scroll down this page right here where it says I am looking to, I just wanted to have a simple thing where it would grow when it gets to a certain point on the screen. So this is probably the easiest thing to do. And you can do this right now inside Elementor, but it's not a visual way to do it. So I'm going to show you how to pull that off. And then I'm going to show you how when you hover over this button, this has a hover animation where it will hover and scale up a little bit. But I wanted to do something a little bit unique with this tool. And when I click this button, I wanted to animate this off the screen like here. And then when you go to the next screen, have that animation trigger. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So when I click this, that's going to scroll over, go to the About page, and then carry over into the About page right here. So as you can see, that was a pretty cool effect. So when I do that again, click, boom, and scroll in. So I've seen this used where you would click it on the home page, for example, and you can have it like scale up. And then on the next page, it will start at a large percentage and then go down. So it almost feels like an app rather than a website. So that's what's really powerful about this tool. So now I'm going to jump into the back end of this website and show you how I set this page up. Once you install the plugin, you're going to notice this new tab right here called Motion.page. You're just going to go ahead and click that. And if you're familiar with something like a Slide Revolution, it's very similar to that, where it's going to open up its own visual builder. And like I said, it will require a little bit of a learning curve to learn the interface. But once you learn it, it's pretty simple, and you're going to see how powerful it really is. So in this example, I wanted to show how when you scroll down the page, this heading right here will scale up. So let's go ahead and open up that one I already have. And what's nice is any animations or triggers or anything on the home page, you're going to see that once you have a few of them, they're all kind of added right here. So this one, I just called it Button Home. I know it's a little overwhelming when you first open it because I was overwhelmed, but let me go ahead and close all of this stuff down so you can kind of visually see what's going on. So the first thing is you select the page that it was triggered to. So in this case, it's the home page. And underneath trigger, this is where you have three different things that you can do. You can either do a page event, a scroll trigger, or an interaction. And when you hover over each one of these, it kind of tells you what it is. But basically, a page event would be right here. It says it right here. Trigger to play the timeline down here when the user is either page loading or when it exits the page. The way this interface works is a little bit different than probably what you're used to. So it's kind of doing two things at once. What I mean by that is this interface, you have to choose which trigger you want, and then down here, it plays the timeline. So you can see right here, when I scrub this timeline, that header is growing. So that's basically the way it works, is you kind of have to think about it like that. You're doing two things. You're doing a trigger, and then it's doing something on the timeline. So in this case, we selected scroll trigger. So once you click that, you're going to see a whole bunch of other options pop up right here. Like I said, I'm just going to kind of quickly walk through this. So in this case, I have it where it locks to the scroll bar. So the reason why, I guess, like I said, I love this tool so much is its visual. You see this right here where it says start viewport, end viewport. This is so nice because you can visually see that when you scroll down the page, when it hits that right here, it's going to automatically trigger. And the reason why that didn't turn on, there's this button right here called live. So I triggered that off. When you trigger that back on, you can see it happening in real time. So once that heading hits that viewport, I have it scale up. And in order to trigger that specific headline, you can do it two different ways. You can scroll down here where it says animation, and there's this button right here where you can enable the scanner, because what you can do is you can use a tool like this and it will go ahead and select that heading. But I did notice that with certain elements in Elementor, it doesn't pick it up correctly. So what you have to do is, in most cases, if you're using Elementor in this tool, like I said, I'm back at the Elementor page, what you need to do is trigger it by a CSS class. So you can see I just called that header 2. So you just need to remember what classes you want to have triggered and go back into this tool, and I just typed in .header2, and that will appear right here. So if this automatic selector doesn't work, you can always just manually trigger. And what's cool about this is you could trigger multiple classes, you can do instances of classes. There's pretty much no limit to what you can do here. So this is actually more powerful than what you think it is. And then the way it works with animation is A little bit different than probably if you're used to like an After Effects where you add a bunch of keyframes in between and you can trigger keyframes. This is a little bit different. And what this does is you have a from and a to. So basically what that means is from the beginning to the end of this time frame. And that's the only things you get. At first I thought there would be the ability to add keyframes, but there's not. What you have to do is just kind of stagger it or add a bunch of keyframes manually if you want to do that. But in most cases, you just want to go from an instance to an instance. So what I mean by that is when you see right here, the from, if you scroll down here, you're going to see all of these different visual things you can do. So if you're used to using different things inside Elementor, this now just expanded that like 1,000 because now you can do all different types of things in here. But let's just keep it simple and say we want to start from 1 and then we want to scale up to 5. So let me visually change this so you can see what I mean. And instead of 5, it's because you can see right here, when I scrub this timeline, that's going from 1 to 5. Let me go ahead and change that to like 20 so you can visually see how much bigger that's going to get. So when you make a change here, you're going to want to make sure you click that live button again. You're going to see that's now going to go to 20. So that's going to fill up like the whole screen. So that's what like I said, I love about this tool. You could just start changing stuff on the screen and it will show up in real time. So let's change that back to like a 5. And when you click on this button live, you can scroll down the website and you can see the start viewport is at 1 right now. So click at 1 and then it's going to scale all the way up to 5. You see where it says end viewport right here where my mouse is circling? That's when the animation is going to end. So if for some reason you want that to trigger on sooner or later, you would go back up into here. What I like to do sometimes is collapse these because it can get a little much over here on the left. So you can see right here, you're going to start the viewport at 60%. So when I scroll that down, you're going to see that's going to visually change on the screen. So let me go ahead and change that. So if you wanted to have it where it would kick on even earlier, like let's say 80, you can do that. And then if you, for some reason, wanted to end not at the top of the screen, you could just pull that back down. And so now what's going to happen is this animation is going to go very fast. So once that heading hits that viewport, it will start at 1, and then where my mouse is, it's going to end at 5 right here. So if I scroll down, you're going to see it's going to 1, and it's going to speed up really fast and then stop. Once it hits that end, it's going to stop the animation. So you can see right here, they have a whole bunch of different options too, where you can pin that element so it kind of stick. You can, when it enters the scroller, is fully visible. I mean, they give you a ton of different options. You can offset it if you have different menus and stuff like that floating above it. I mean, like I said, it's going to take a little bit of time to get used to this, but once you really get your hands dirty on this thing, it's really powerful. And then the way it works down here is you just hit save animation. So anytime you make any major changes, you can just hit save animation. You can always go to the front end of the website and do some testing. But what's also nice is they give you this option right here. We can hit refresh. And then if you make any changes on the back end right here, so for example, let me just change something so you can visually see that it will update. So let me add a second colon in here, hit update. So now you see how is the 2 right here. And it doesn't appear here, but once you hit that refresh button, you're going to see it updates right here. So there's really no need for you to have to worry about ever leaving this while you're working on these animations. You can always just hit the refresh button. And then if you want to see how it looks in full screen, there is this full screen button right here. So you can visually see how everything's kind of functioning. So yeah, this tool is really cool. So let me go back down into here. And just like in Elementor, they have the different responsive modes right up here. And what's nice is you can turn on and off right here where it says enable breakpoints. So if for some reason you don't want this to enable on mobile, you could just slide this over and it will only work on tablet, widescreen, whatever tools you have right here. And then up here they have the global settings. So there's some stuff right here. You can enable this with some extra code, I believe, this smooth scroller. So I haven't really played around with this too much, but I know that this is a really cool like gsap thing where things can move at different speeds. It's something I'm going to play around with, but you could just turn that off by default. You can import, export different animations into different timelines here. This is where you're going to want to change your breakpoints. So probably just match them up to what's inside Elementor. And you can see underneath options, you can load up some gsap stuff if you need to from a CDN. I'm probably going to always have this off. You can turn on and off tooltips and overflow hidden. That's probably always good to just have on. So just keep that on. And then this, I haven't played around with this yet. You can disable if you want it to not have these options, I guess, on these different types of post types. But they give you some options there. And like I said, anytime you change anything, they have this button down here where you will save the animation. And then this is the community tab. This is view the front end, and then this is just go back to WordPress. And then what's nice is underneath library, you can see these are the different pages I've played around with. So you can visually see which pages have your motion effects on them. So you can see I've played around with some other pages, but the home page has 4 of them right now. So if I ever need to jump into a different one, I could just click right here. So let's go ahead and just do that. I'm going to jump into the hover one and show you how I was able to easily add this hover animation. Once you click that hover button, you're going to see it jumps into this new timeline called Home Button 1. So you can see it's changed right down here. So let me go into here and show you that I have this as an Elementor button. And you can see right here, I have this one called CSS Class Home Button 1. So like I said, just get used to using CSS classes. It's going to make it a lot easier to use this tool. So all I wanted to do was just when you hover over that, just have it grow. So that's a pretty simple one as well. And if you look underneath here, this one will be triggering the interactions tab this time. You can do hover or click. In this case, I just have hover. And if you look down here, I have a reverse animation. So when you hover over it, if you look down here on the timeline, you're going to see it goes back. So instead of it just automatically going straight to the first state, it will slowly play back. So that's what this reverse animation does. So I think that's a pretty cool tool. And if you look underneath animation, what I did is I just typed in .home1 button. And you can see when you hover over this class that I have right here, you can see it highlights it on the screen. So it visually will show you which class it is and where it is on the screen. And just like the first one, I have the from state at 1. The 2, I just have it go to like 1.1. So what it's doing is it's playing that animation when you hover over it to 1.1. So let me show you, if I extend this really far out here, it will take 4 seconds now to hover over this. So you're going to see when I click the live button right here, you can see it playing. It takes 4 seconds now. And then when I reverse out, it's going to go backwards. It will go back in and out. So that's what's really cool about this is, like I said, it's visual. So you can visually see how easy it is to just, click and drag. If things take too long, you make it speed up. You can just click and drag it right down here. So that's a case where when you click and drag a timeline, it will affect what happens on the screen. So if you're happy with that, you can just hit save animation, and then you can always just view it on the front end. And like I said, you can just click this button, hit view on front end, and it will open up a new tab, and then it will, show. Now that's going to show when I hover over that, it goes like that. So now let's jump into how I was able to do this. So I wanted to have it where this animation only gets triggered when you click this button. So if I hit play animation, it goes off the screen, and then it's going to load up the about page and then come in. Let me show you how I was able to pull that off. So the first thing we need to do is go into this image and give it a class. So I just called this one guy home. I just want to keep it something simple. And if I go into the library here, I have this one called page event. So when I click that, you're going to see that it is now being triggered by a page event. So this very first one called page event, page exit. So this means this animation is going to play when the user is exiting the page. So when it is about to leave the page, it will be triggered by this button. So it's kind of doing two things at once. It's being triggered by when you're leaving the page, and I'm having it where the user clicks this. So let me show you how I was able to do that. Right underneath here where it says specific links, you're going to say when the user is running this link, when it plays this button, and it's a little confusing, when the user clicks this class called home button, that's when it's going to get triggered. Because if I go to this page, let me go to the front end of this page. When I click another button on the page, it's not being triggered. So when I click on the services button, that animation wasn't triggered. It's only being triggered when that user clicks this class. So let me go back into here and so you can kind of see again. So when the user clicks that class, have that specific link. If I wanted all the links, you could just click this. So if I hit save animation, go back to that home page, now any link I click, it's going to play that animation. So I wanted to have it where it didn't do that. So I think that's a really good, fun use case to just play animation and it will go off. And in order to pull that off, what I did is I added the selector called Guy Home from. So what's cool about this, you can translate, the X and Y coordinates. So what I did is you start from 0%, go to 75%. So if I scrub this, you're going to see 75% gets him off the screen. So once he gets about there, he's off the screen. So you can see right around there, he's off the screen. You can always pull this over to kind of visually see. Again, if I wanted to make it really slow, let's say it takes 4 seconds now. If I hit refresh, when I click this, it's now going to take a long time to go off the screen. So if that's what you wanted, that can be pulled off by pulling this, timeline right here. Let's make it a lot faster, like we originally had when I first showed you this website. So I made it where it's going to go really fast. So doop, he should be off the screen pretty quick. So let me go back into the home page, click this. Now he's off the screen much faster. And then he appears on the about page. And in order to pull off that, what I have to do is go to this about page, add that image, and then I'm going to show you how easy it is to pull it in on an entrance animation. And here we are on that about page, and you can see, this isn't pretty. I just wanted to show you how cool it is to do this animation stuff. So I just wanted to have this image just kind of slide in. So this one's called Guy Home, just like the first one. And if I go back into Motion, you can see I have my about page. And when I click on the about, it will update all of this, have him come in. So just like the other one, instead of page exit, I have it where it does page load. So once the page loads, play an animation. So in this case, again, I went underneath animation, selected the guy class right here. And you can see when you click that off, it's going to remove that. So I need to add him back. So Guy Home. And the from is at -100%. So -100% on the X coordinate is going to get him off the screen. And then the 2 is to 0. So again, -1 or -100% to 0. 0 means where it is on your Elementor page. This is 0%. So hopefully that makes sense. So when that page gets triggered, it's going to automatically play that animation and just hit save animation. And if you want to help support this channel, I am going to leave an affiliate link in the description below if you are interested in checking out this tool. I don't support tools unless I use them for our client websites or something that I've really got my hands dirty on. So like I said, I have been using this for a few weeks behind the scenes, and this is a tool I do highly recommend. And that's it for this video. Make sure that you give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you aren't already, and make sure that you hit that bell to receive notifications so you can get alerts when I release new videos like this in the future. Again, this is Mark from Wiki Design. Thank you.